Welcome to this Soulful Business series. This Sunday I have with me the Celia Ward-Wallace from all the way from LA in USA. And it's such a pleasure to be interviewing Celia today because she is a woman on a mission. She has amazing vision about what she's creating in her business. And she is one of the few people who actually makes it happen, makes her visions real. And that's something I highly admire about Celia. And she's also a coach. She's been a life coach and she's a business coach now, teaching other coaches and entrepreneurs how to create a life of freedom and abundance through their business, through soulful business. So it's perfect to have you here with me today, Celia. Welcome to the series.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
So tell us a little bit about your vision for your business and where you're at now in terms of this journey that you've come on to bring it to fruition.
Yeah, goodness. Like, where do you begin? As I'm sure many of your community members who are watching this, I am a multi-talented, multi-passionate person. And so it has been a journey to really fine-tune, where I want to focus my work and what I feel my calling and purpose is in my work. But primarily, as you mentioned, I've always been a leader. I've always been active in my community. I've always been a heart-centered, service-minded person. And through crazy life's twists and turns, the bottom fell out of my life and I was brought to coaching and training and really just empowering others through using my gifts that I didn't realize, even though they'd been there my whole life, were what were ultimately going to be the basis of this amazingly fulfilling work that I get to do now. And so, as you mentioned, I do all kinds of different things. I do, I could compartmentalize it, right? I could say I do spiritual or practical spirituality sort of coaching. And then I help people with their lives and relationships. Then I help people with business. And it wasn't only until a couple years ago that I really started to latch onto this concept of soulful business or mindful business or sacred business, depending on the way that people look at it. But really understanding that felt like a fusion of all of the kinds of things that I was doing. And so within the, I know we'll talk more about it, but within the soulful business realm, really taking aspiring entrepreneurs or emerging entrepreneurs and teaching them how to create their businesses by design, with intention, and really taking that heart-centered, service-minded perspective and how to integrate that into business so that they're creating a business that they feel is really a true extension of who they are at a soul level, and feels just vibrant and fully aligned with their purpose. And so, God, I can talk and talk and talk on this, but it's such a blessing to get to do that work. And what I'm then teaching them is how to do that themselves and then go out into the world and serve others with their gifts and their really aligned and purposeful vision as well.
Wow.
That's all.
That's all. I love how you think so big. You've got this beautiful open face and look at that open visionary forehead you have. You're so creative. Yeah, creative on that, on that level, that higher creativity. And then you know how to actually make it real. How does that happen? For someone who is, the people out there who have a vision, they know what they want to create, but then they just go, whoa, I don't even know where to start. And sometimes inertia kicks in and nothing happens. What would you say to them?
Well, I think you have to have the tools to be able to understand how to get back to the core of your root purpose and every day begin there, right? So life intervenes every day. And we wake up with fears, anxieties, and worries. We may wake up with demands and pressures and societal changes. And so at any given moment, we can twist and turn and be thrown off course and just say, screw it, I'm not up for it today, or I feel depressed, I don't want to do anything. And so by having our daily rituals and routines that we go to that ground us, that remind us of our purpose, that reconnect us with our higher self or our source or whatever it is that you believe in that is really sort of channeling through you to guide you, that's my number one recommendation is each day when you finally get a moment to yourself, whether it's first thing or after you ship your kids and spouse off or whatever, and you get that moment to sit down before you begin your workday to really allow yourself that 15 minutes or 45 minutes or whatever it is to reconnect with yourself, to ask the questions of, can I be guided today so that I can be really clear and have that crisp clarity of what my purpose is, both on the big scale, but also today and in this week and in this month. And so for me, what I do and what I always do with my clients is I just remind them to go back to that, because you will always change. Your values will change, and what you want in your life at any given time, how you want to feel will always change. And if you don't tap into where you're at right now, you will start to get all out of alignment, because you'll just start going in one direction and just imagine, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to just truck along and keep doing this without any reflection along the way about how is it making me feel? Is this aligned? And really accessing those tools of intuition to make really strongly guided choices. And then within that, you have to sit down and do the work every day. That is the other part of it. You have that, really, sort of metaphysical energy aspect of things that is your guidance systems and tools. But then you have to harness the other aspects of your energy and the side of yourself that is the focus and the drive and the ambition to see your dream or big vision come to fruition and reality. And the only way that it's going to do that is with consistent intentional action day in and day out. And so, whether it's taking the 3 most important things you have to do in that day to make the next forward big leap to that goal, do that. And for me, I'm a tried and true list gal. I dump everything out of my mind and I write it down, and I have online lists. If I could show you my office right now, I have literally 4 I have a monthly calendar, I have a weekly calendar, I have a blank calendar. Then I have a big, humongous whiteboard. Then right here, I have 2 boards, so every day I'm like, this is what I'm working off of today. And when you see the white space, it's because those things got done. And so I'm coming from a place of being channeled and really being clear on who I am, what I'm great at, what I want to create in the world. But then it's like, at the end of the day, I got to do what every CEO, and visionary change maker in the world that's making money and making impact is doing, which is they're doing the work. So I have to light the fire under myself each day to hit the ground running and put in the time.
Yeah. And that's something that really stands out for me about you is you are such an action taker, and, you don't shy away from a challenge. You're very courageous in that sense. And, someone gives you a challenge and you're like, you just eat it up, there's that real fire in you to burn through whatever obstacles come up. And I think that's a really key thing about bringing a vision to fruition is it has to be, you have to not only know what action to take, you have to not allow any of your own resistance or, outer resistance to get in your way.
Yeah.
And so just looking at your list there, my goodness, I mean, you're such a productive woman.
I am.
And
I'm a beast. I am a beast. But at the same time, it's, 4:00 here in LA. And like I told you, You know, as soon as we're off the call, my kids are outside playing right now. I'm about to stop working for the day and go hang out with them. You know, I got up this morning, I got them ready for school. I packed their lunches. I took them, you know, made breakfast, took them to school, dropped them off. I'm just like every other person out there in the world. My goal is, you know, to really be able to have the freedom through my work to be able to enjoy every aspect of my life to the fullest. And so my work is, and my ability to get stuff done is not in exchange for not being able to be present with my children or with my husband, or to stop working at 4 or whatever. I'm working so efficiently, or I've learned to work so efficiently, and to not let the mindset junk that comes in win, so that I can stop at 4, you know, and so that I can not generally work on weekends and stuff like that. That's the trade-off for me.
Yeah. So, you know, there's 2 things in what you just said. There's balance, you know, balance is so important, isn't it? If you're actually if you're gonna make this sustainable, whatever you're creating, if you don't incorporate balance on the journey, then one day you're going to end up in a heap. So, or, you know, divorced, or having lost what you truly value. And then the other thing that I think is so important is time. You really manage your time so well. And because time can so easily get away from us. So if we actually don't have real focus in how we're spending our time, then the days just roll on, don't they? And, you know, and you don't actually get the traction that is possible each day to make the momentum towards your goal.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that's where the focus and organization comes in. And, you know, a lot of these things are challenges. It's not just, it doesn't come naturally and effortlessly to everybody. And I'm certainly not here to give my example and just say, oh, just do this, it's piece of cake or whatever. I mean, it's training. It's like, if you want to be those of us who are going to be really successful in business are the ones that are going to put the time and effort and hours in to figure it out and to do the work, both, you know, internally and externally, to really become exceptional at what we do. And so sometimes, you know, I just have to give myself some credit and say, hey, you're freaking pretty phenomenal, you know, and you have been working really hard. Like yesterday, I created, my online program that I'm offering. I created the last piece of content for the last day in the class. And so it's a 10-week program. Currently, my students are in, I think, it's like 8.5. And I've been creating the content a week or 2 ahead of them so that I could keep it really relevant for them. But I just finished the last piece of content yesterday, and I called my husband, Joe, and I was like, you have to celebrate with me. I was like, I just finished the last piece of content. And then I just like burst into these tears. And it was like both like a celebratory tears, but also this like release of like, I did it. Like, I really, really did it. And I have been working so hard, and this has been my heart, you know, I'm going to cry right now, but you know, it's like when you put your heart and soul into it and you're working so hard for your vision, and then you do it and you're just like, did I just do that? Like, you know, I feel like a rock star. Like, I'm just so proud of myself, you know? So yeah, you got to hustle. You got to really be willing to dig in and do it. You know, it's not just an idea. It's like people who are doing it and doing it well, that you and I admire, and your community people admire. They're really exceptional for a reason, you know, and they've really been working at their craft. So, and it's a journey, you know, I wasn't always like this. I've been learning and evolving and getting better and better. And there's more to come, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Something, you know, just speaking of what you've created is, you know, my feeling is it's really touching for you, especially because of the people you're serving. I get this impression of, or feeling of, how connected you feel to them, and how connected you are to having an impact on their lives. And that's so key, because a vision has to be rooted in the physical, you know, relevant to a certain group of people. It's, you know, a vision is relevant to a type of person, You know, it's not for everyone. It has to be
Right.
the type of person that you feel connected to. So tell us a bit more about that aspect of your vision.
Yeah, very, very great question. I mean, I feel like, just like you said, and I know it's probably part of your blueprint process as well, and part of the kind of work that I do as well is, when we get really clear on who we are and what is really phenomenal about us and what is really unique about us and what is our like very special offer, that we can create from a heart place, but also from that place of confidence of like, these are my gifts, this is my work, this is what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And you put that out there, there is that match, that vibrational match, that energetic match, that, on all aspects, 360 degrees and match. There's people out there that are receiving that energy from your work that are going to resonate with your work at a core level. And, really looking at, are you showing up authentically? Are you showing up, consistently? Are you really resonating with your audience? Do you have the alignment with your vision and with your calling? And is all the aspects, your branding, your copy, your offer, are all of those things in alignment with, that ideal client or soul client, or the person that you believe that you're creating the work for? Is everything all lined up? I spoke with one of my clients today, and she was just working on a launch, and she's like, it's not going so great, and I had to reflect back to her. I was like, I'm not sure you're really in love with this offer. We've been talking about this offer, going back and forth, and you've sort of flung around 20 different kinds of things you could do. And then you picked this one and ran with it, without even doing some of the baseline foundational work of really making sure this was the thing to create and bring out into the world. And now you're not having a great result. And I just have to reflect back to you that when I don't have great results in my product launches, I usually have to go back to the basics and really look at it. Was this work that I loved, that I felt like this is what I was created to do? Did my copy and my content and everything that I was putting out in the world, did it reflect that? And if not, then there obviously was a disconnect. And right before I created this latest amazing piece of work that I have put out into the world, that I've had such alignment with and so much resonance and such an amazing, phenomenal experience, right before that, I created this whole other thing that was like completely not aligned, right? And I was like, okay, this isn't working. Why isn't this working? And I had to really go back to looking at myself and going like, well, that language doesn't even sound like you. And what you're talking about selling is not even what you want to sell, And so, yeah, it sucks that didn't work. But at the same time, it's like such a blessing. Like, hello, the universe is just showing you, like, this is not what you're supposed to do. This is not you. This is not the vibrational match of who you are in the world. Go back to being yourself and put out into the world the work that you really are supposed to put out. And those people are going to come that want you. I have so much to say on it, but that's good for now.
Well, because that's gold, alignment is what it's, where it all comes from, because, like you said, it's about being in love with your offer and being in love with the people you're serving.
Right.
And if you're not in alignment, you can't have that. And people feel it, don't they? They feel when something's out of alignment. It may not be a conscious thought,
right,
but on some level, it doesn't really gel for them. And, you can't create the level of success that you really want if part of you's feeling left out or, not in alignment. And as you said, brilliant, you often have to be out of alignment to know what in alignment is, right?
Yeah, it's the same. We have to fail, we have to allow ourselves our failures in life. We can't shy away from the failures. Those are when the greatest growth periods are going to happen for us. And when we're going to take the time to reflect on what's going on with us and why didn't things work out? And like, yeah, it does suck. It doesn't feel so good. Yeah. But at the same time, in our work and in the, thought leadership, change maker space, people who want to be out there, like moving the planet forward for a greater good, the way to do that is through storytelling and through sharing the tests in your testimony. People want to hear what you have experienced, and they don't want to hear you just say, oh, let me tell you about my business. Oh, I'm making 7 figures a year. Isn't that awesome? I can show you how to do that too.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people out there that are saying that. And don't get me wrong, people buy from them, but I don't know about that being changing the world work, or, moving the world forward for the greater good of the planet or whatever. That's not the kind of work, not that you shouldn't be making money or be showing people how to make money. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's really more about you being able to say, hey, you know what? Last year I did a launch and it sucked. This year I did a launch and I killed it. You want me to show you the difference? I can teach you the difference so that you don't have sucky launches, but you have launches that are killing it, right? It's like, everybody's like, wait a minute, what's she talking about? Actually, that's pretty good. I think that might be part of my marketing funnel.
Yeah, nice. Thinking on the spot. That's cool, because your journey in building your own soulful business has been, you've come from that place of feeling out of alignment with what you're creating. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I feel like I've had really great alignment for a long time. Even before I was doing this work, I always knew I was created for greatness. My parents were very loving. I had a great upbringing, and I had struggle, and I had challenges, and I had limitations and scarcity and all that stuff that most people do. But I would say all in all, I had a good situation. And then even when I started doing this work, I've always been very optimistic, very grateful, just feeling very blessed about my work and feeling very, just spiritual. Like I am a soulful spiritual person. I love that about myself, and it's a big part of my life. And so, and my work, even when I'm doing just what they call business or whatever, it still always gets back to the soul and who are you, and, just the bigger picture stuff for me. So all of that to be said, like a lot of people, I got swayed on my journey because I started working with a mentor that was really, seducing to me, that I really felt a void in some way and needed support. And I fell into working with somebody that initially was a very productive relationship. But as we continued to work further and at a higher price point, I realized that my commitment to the relationship and to the work was out of alignment with my mentor's commitment and relationship to the work, and the type of work that I was expressing that I wanted to create, which was what I eventually have created, was really sort of pushed down because what I was being trained to do, which a lot of people are trained to do, which was don't focus on personal development, don't focus on spiritual development, focus on business, because that's where you're going to make your money. You're going to make your money selling to people about how to make money and how to build their businesses. And so focus on that and do this and just follow this formula and do just what I'm telling you to do, because that's what I've done and I've been successful, and you want to be like me, don't you? So just do what I tell you to do. Mm-hmm. And so, as they say, at least here in the States, I was drinking the Kool-Aid, which, is a joke. But it's like, you're drinking the Kool-Aid when you're like on the team and you're just like, yeah, whatever you say, I'll do whatever you say. No problem. Cause and I'm just like, yes, yes, yes. But all the time along, I just had this inner conversation with myself about this does not feel right. Like, I feel like a fraud. This does not feel like my voice. And, I can't believe I'm investing this level of money and then having this kind of disconnect with my mentor. Like, that was really, really frustrating for me. And so it wasn't until I traveled all the way around the world, invested all this money, that I had this huge epiphany, because I was having a total breakdown over the whole thing. And I went to the beach, and I put my feet in the water for the first time, and I was listening to my Deepak Chopra meditations that I love. And I was just like listening to the very short ones that he has. They're like 15 minutes or 8 minutes or something. So I was just listening to one after another after another. And it was just like, my soul was just like lighting up. And I just had this epiphany, and I was just like, this is it. This is it. This is what's missing in my offering. I'm like, this is me. This is all of me. And I don't want to be segmented. I want to be able to talk about relationships. I want to be talk about parenting. I want to be able to talk about self-care, soulful practices, nature, everything that I love. And I want to be able to work with, similarly to me, entrepreneurs who really are heart-centered, service-minded, but I want to be able to teach them this holistic perspective on business and what I now focus on as soulful business. And so I had this huge wake-up call, but it was in the midst of this whole crisis of like investing at such a high price point, investing so much time and energy, time away from my family, into basically a failed launch and a failed relationship with, at that time, a very significant person in my life who was my mentor at the time. So it wasn't until I went through all of that then I basically told myself, I'm going to take 2 months off of work. I'm going to just pause. I'm not going to create anything. I'm not going to launch anything. I'm getting back to the basics because I have become out of alignment with myself, with my own confidence that I know what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And I need to get back to connecting with myself and my intuition and my just foundation. And so I just went back to the basics of all the things that, everybody who's listening knows to do, should do, hopefully will start to do. And what I believe in terms of soulful business these are the things that are non-negotiable. This is what you do every day so that your business can thrive and that you can thrive, so whatever these things are for you. But for me, it's like waking up and sitting down at my altar. I have an altar full of all the beautiful things that mean something to me. Getting quiet, opening up my journal and just doing my morning pages and writing everything that comes out of my mind, doing my gratitude prayers and, sitting in silence, and then getting some physical exercise, going out in my backyard. That's like this, I live right in the middle of the city, but it's like I've created an oasis out there. So just sitting and closing my eyes and trying to listen to the sounds of nature. Like, what are the sounds that I can hear? What can I see? And just reminding myself of gratitude and like where I fit into this big picture. And so I did that for months, as well as going off the grid to Mexico for a month with my family and disconnecting completely from any electronics. And the whole vision downloaded. It was like, boom, 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 boom. This is what you're supposed to do. Okay, you got it. And then I just waited until I was ready to start taking action again, until my kids went back to school after the summer. And that was last fall, right? So that was August of 2014, I think, right? Yeah. So, and then I've just been off to the races since, because I got it. I got it now.
Yes. What you've just described is something that I hear so often from people on this soulful business path, where at some point in their journey, they realize that part of them, a fundamental part of them often, was actually left out from what they were creating. And, to have the awareness of, for a start, you have total permission and it's possible to create something that includes all parts of you, that nothing has to be left out. And also to have the awareness of when that's actually happening. And,
yes.
What you just described with your mentor, of that process. And sometimes it can be a long process of going, wow, this is a really fundamental part of me and it's not included right now.
Right.
And to then get back on track. And, that, like, the rewards of doing that are so immense, aren't they? Because it takes you on a whole new journey of wholeness, of including all parts of you. And people feel that, your clients feel that, your business thrives because of that, because you're using all of your energy. You're not resisting any part or repressing any part. So yeah, thank you for that story. It's so such a powerful thing for people to remember. So tell me a little bit about what you're actually creating. When I said at the start of this conversation, Celia is a woman with a vision. She started off with this, incredible, like you said, you went down offline for a while and actually conjured up this vision. Yeah. And then here we are almost a year later and you've made it happen. So tell us what the vision was initially and how that's taken shape along the way to creating it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really exciting because I'm like, this is the work. I get to do it. I'm like doing the work and I get off the calls and I get, I'm just like, yes, this is it. This is like, I can do this. I love what I'm doing now. And that's the kind of feeling, basically, that is the work that I create in the world, is by modeling what I want for everybody else to experience, which is, I firmly believe that we all have the opportunity, especially in the privileged places of the world, that are not in crisis or in war. Obviously there's places where people can't just turn their lives around or whatever. But for those of us who have the opportunity to pursue our calling and our purpose and find that, and then make a business out of it and create the life that we want to create, that's the work that I love to do, is to help people have that realization of what's possible and help them shed the status quo and help them shed the limitation and the trauma and the fear and everything that they've been through, and reconnect with their really core essence of who they are, what those gifts and greatnesses are. And then if they desire to go into business, help them construct what that business looks like, and start to create the tools to practice the self-care, practice the spiritual and soulful practices on a daily basis, and infuse all of that into the work that they're creating in the world. And so my program that I created is called the Superfly Soulful Business Program, and for short, it's the Superfly program. And it really is what I call is like, it's high level business strategy and sophisticated soulful practices. And so it's taking really people who can literally be working a 9 to 5 and just feeling like, I have this calling in my soul and my spirit. I know it's supposed to be something else. I want to create some sort of, at least what we call a side hustle, where it's like, I just want to get started. I want to figure it out and I want to get it started, all the way to those who are maybe a few steps or a few years behind me, who feel like, I have something started. It's going pretty good. Like, I have a website, I have a Facebook page, I have a following, but like, I don't quite get all of the pieces to the puzzle of like marketing and branding and creating products and all that kind of stuff. And so what I've done is created a sort of all-in-one, one-stop shop where, we work with the client, and it's in a big course. So there's tons and tons of people, but because my gift is really engaging and really making strong connections and being extremely available and accessible and just in it, like I'm in the trenches, everybody feels like they have all the attention they need. And I know every single person, and I have a team of people that are working with them. And so we just basically hold their hand from the beginning of doing all of that foundational work around, who are you? What is your core? What is your purpose? Who are you supposed to be serving in the world? What are the stories and journeys and things that you've been through? How do you use that to inform your work? What kind of business do you want to create if you want to create one? Who would you like to serve? What are the problems you're going to solve? All that kind of journey stuff. And then get into the nitty gritty of, okay, well, what does that actually look like? How do you actually create a business? How do you create a product? How do you create an aligned and soulful product and offering? And how do you create the branding for it, the copy for it, the social media for it, and so how are you taking yourself from, like this seed, this plant that's been planted of an idea of a concept of a true, like your true nature, and how do you like cultivate it and foster it and love it up and just feed it and fuel it and let it grow into this tremendously strong and aligned life of its own, soulful business. And so that's the work that I do. And then I had also this awareness of, gosh, one of my strengths is community building. And so it's one of the ways that you and I are doing this interview now is, we truly are friends, and I really believe in that part of a soulful business. The way that it's different is it's not based on the old patriarchal, Western society, capitalist, framework of what business looks like, in the sense of we're not all focusing on individualism and competition and being separate. Instead, we're focusing on being connected, collaborating, and doing community building. And those are things that are really strong values for me. And so because my journey, I've always been collecting people. I've just always, anytime I meet somebody, and I know you and I from the minute we met really felt that like soul sister connection. Anytime I feel that, one of my gifts is cultivating relationships. And so even though I am so busy, got all these different things going on, I will stop on a dime to make sure that I check in on a friend, or like my friend who hosted her webinar today. I knew she was hosting it today, so I sent her a text on how'd the webinar go. I'm not too busy to do those things because I know they go a long way. And I've just cultivated friendships and relationships with people who are like-minded, who are aligned, and who are doing amazing work in the world. And then when I decided to create my program, and I realized it was going to be this like mother of all programs that was going to just include so much content and cover so much territory, I was like, I need to bring in like amazing faculty people to be my experts, to add more value. And so I reached out to a lot of these people that I've been building relationships with. And, no, I'm not paying them. I'm not doing anything for them other than obviously they get some visibility to be a part of the program. But mainly it's an exchange of energy. Where, I've been cultivating their relationships. I've been giving energy to them. And in exchange for that, they believe in my mission, and they've come on board to help support me with adding additional content. So, I have people who are talking about Koya, which is a movement practice. I have a flower practitioner, a flower essence practitioner, talking about flower essences. I have people talking about the moon cycles, and, they're not all just spiritual, but I have like a Facebook ads expert. I have somebody talking about like CEO smarts and financial management. Other people talking about alignment, soulful alignment, and soul contracts, so it's like all this really fun stuff where I can start to go. And like I was talking to you, I was like, oh, next time I probably want you to be in the program. So I'm like, every time I talk to somebody, I'm like, oh, I love the work you're doing. Okay, let me figure out how to bring you in and highlight you with the program. And anyways, as you can see, I'm just like on a tangent, but I love the work, and that's what I'm up to. And so, and it's just expanding. I know it's just going to continue to expand, and that's the really fun part, because it's so on. Like it's just this is it. It's sweet.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that about you, Celia. You really put people first in your work.
Thank you.
And it really comes across, and people feel that. And I can see in your community, people feel that, like you kind of have this, this mother hen kind of energy that I think is gorgeous. But it just highlights how important that actually is, and also how unusual it is in the business world to really feel that with an entrepreneur or a business owner, that I just know that people come first for you. And it's such a key part of what soulful business is, that which sets it apart from typical patriarchal business, as you say. Right. People are number one. It's about people first. The money and the abundance, flows as a natural extension of that when we are in alignment with it. But, your ability to make that part of your brand as well is, I just love that. So I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because it is so important. So tell our audience then how they can get a bit more of what you've got, Celia, and find you online, or absorb more of your mission and your vision and your offerings.
Yeah, well, I'm Celia Ward-Wallace, and if you Google me, you'll find me everywhere. So, one of the things that I've been pretty good about over the years, and it's one of the things I teach, in business, is you want to create content and you want to put your work out in the world. And the more that you do that, the more that people can find you. And so certainly you can find me at my website, which is just my name, CeliaWardWallace.com. The program that we were talking about, the Superfly program.com. is the website for that, and it's launching again coming soon. And then I have a free online community on Facebook. It's called the Superfly Society Mastermind. So if you Google that, or look that up on Facebook, the Superfly Society Mastermind, you'll find us, and you can come hang out, and we just talk soulful business, regular old, everything going on in life, soulful stuff. And yeah, hit me up, send me an email, send me a Facebook message. I'm totally accessible. I check my own emails. I respond to my own Facebook messages.
Oh my God, you check your own emails.
Well, you know how people are. I don't have an assistant like screening my stuff, and I would love for you guys to say hi and say, hey, I connected with you on Natalie's program, and give me some feedback. I'd love it.
Awesome, Celia. I love that you're accessible. Another key part of soulful business. You know, there's no like shop front that people have to get past to get to
right.
you.
No.
You know, I love that. Thank you.
Of course.
Celia, are there any, like, you know, I want to tap into your wisdom on soulful business right now, and just leave like a parting thought or pearl of wisdom, if you like, to people out there who want to create a soulful business. They may have a vision already, and they're just at that point of going, okay, how can I bring this to reality? How do I make it real? What's the one piece of advice you would give them?
One piece of advice. I'm not good at just one of anything. So I'm a talker, but I would say, first of all, know that you're worthy just the way that you are. You don't need to do anything, be anything, or have anything more than you already do at this exact moment as you're listening to the words coming out of my mouth to be 100% perfect. Okay. So all of the goals around business are, again, you want to make sure are flowing from a place of real purpose, of real just joy, and not coming from a place of constriction and drive and feeling like you have to do this, or if you do this, you're going to somehow feel better or somehow be happier or somehow have something different, because you're not. You have to realize that you have everything you need within you already. And so that then leads me to the other thing, which is you have everything you need already within you. You don't need to seek it outside of you. And so a lot of times the problems that people fall into is they feel like they're not ready. They don't have enough confidence. They feel like they need, more training, more learning, more mentorship, more time before they're ready to go. And you just have to realize that you're perfectly imperfect, and you just need to throw it out there. You need to go for it. Have confidence in yourself and be courageous. And it's not always going to work. And it's even if it works, it may not work at the level that you thought it was going to work. But until you do it and you put it out there, you have nothing to measure. You have nothing to reflect upon. And so if you have a great idea and you've done all of the, you've crossed all the T's, dotted all the I's, and there's nothing left to do but just do it. Just do it, and then give yourself some space and be gentle with yourself and really reflect on what worked, what didn't work, how you're going to make it different for the next go round. And if it feels totally out of alignment, just scrap the whole thing. Just scrap the whole thing, start all over again, find the thing that is going to light you up, that you can see yourself focusing on for the next 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. Like, you just can see yourself doing this work in the world. If you were at a dinner party right now and it was full of all of your favorite people and people you didn't know, but all of the, sort of your soul people that you're just so excited to hang out with, and you saw one person across the room and you guys were super like attracted to talk to each other, and you guys ended up hanging out in the corner, sitting down and talking, and you guys just couldn't stop talking, and everybody's saying like, oh, you guys gonna like work the room, and you're like, no, we're having the most amazing conversation, and you're just like talking for like 2 hours. Like, what is it that you are talking to that person about? And what is it that you can just talk effortlessly about because it's flowing through you, and you have so much life experience and so much just innate wisdom in you that you're like, oh, and then you need to do this and check this out. And, oh, let me tell you this story. And, just like you're just riffing and riffing and riffing and it's coming effortlessly. That's it. That is the idea. Begin there. And I will stop.
I love it. Celia, you definitely have a future as a motivational speaker as well. I can see that. Wow, such gold there. Thank you so much, Celia. You're amazing. And you are the definition of a mover and shaker. And I just love you. So.
Hey. I love you too.
Thanks for being part of this series, and lots of love.
Lots of love. Bye, everybody.